So let's talk about Candace Owens, and let's talk about Israel, and let's talk about Erika Kirk. Let's talk about Jesus too while we're at it. If you're a Christian, you can't be hating on Israel. You just can't. Now let me finish that argument before you say, yes, I can, blah, blah, blah. There is a verse in the Bible, in the New Testament, that says, all Israel will be saved regarding the end of the world. Now, there's only one person that I will listen to regarding this, and this is a man named Michael Heiser. He's got an entire speech, sermon, podcast that he does on what does all Israel mean? And that's the question. And there's different beliefs behind what all Israel means. Some Christians think that all Israel means the church, that after Jesus came and died and rose from the dead, that Israel's gone and the church has replaced it. Some people believe that all Israel means literally all of Israel, just the entire nation, and no matter what they do, or no matter what the people do, or no matter what the government does, all Israel will be saved. And then there's a third interpretation, which is it's that all Israelis that have a belief in God, that have a belief in Yahweh, and that ultimately will believe in Jesus Christ. And so I can understand if you fall into, depending on what category you fall into, that you feel that you can't say Israel is bad, or you can't question it, or you can say that Israel is bad and question it. But I think it's a pretty sober and wise stance to say that you can be skeptical of Israel, you can question it, but you can't be anti-Israel. If you're a Christian, you just can't. You just can't. Because our Lord was not anti-Israel. And so I think it's really important that we keep that in mind. And Candace Owens, we also have to keep in mind that she's a new believer. And she's got some weird thoughts about Protestantism. She thinks that it's just a lazy, self-serving denomination. And she just hasn't done her research. She just hasn't done her eschatological research, which means study of the end times. She hasn't done her research really on Catholicism and Protestantism and the split and why it happened and all those things. And so she's a new believer, and that's fine. But for her to have the platform that she has and to speak as strongly as she does about Israel and about Catholicism and about Charlie and what he believed, I think it's extremely dangerous. And I just would like for her to, on that end, just kind of pause for a second on her harsh stance, because she's kind of young in this faith journey she talks about. And I don't disagree with her on questioning things, and I don't disagree with her on her interest in Catholicism. I mean, I just bought a rosary the other day when I was in Mexico City. And I am definitely not Catholic and will never be Catholic, because of certain beliefs that the Catholics have that I just fundamentally disagree with. But that's after years and years and years and years and years of being a Christian and studying things. So I just wish that Candace would kind of calm down for a second. However, let's talk about what she is claiming, which is that Turning Point USA is being super shady, and nobody there, including Charlie's wife, seems to give a shit about the really sloppy narrative that the FBI is doing. And so I have spent hours watching different videos, as I'm sure many of you have as well. And I've watched so many military Green Beret guys talk about 30-06 and how the bullet hole is going to blow up a thing and all that stuff. And I love it because I don't know anything about that. And I'm like, great, let's go. And, you know, when I first saw clips of her at the memorial, I was like, oh my gosh, her forgiving, you know, Tyler, even though I was like, he's not the one who killed him probably, but if you've been told that, great. And her forgiveness. And I thought her leaning into the president was really beautiful because her husband helped get that president elected. So I thought that was all great. And then I started watching more videos of Erika Kirk. And it's either one of two things. One, she just may be a saint and just has no sorrow for her exploding husband. And it is that I am being that graphic on purpose. Her husband's body exploded in front of her, and she has no tears for that. So maybe she just has the feelings of a saint. But here's the thing. Jesus cried. Jesus cried. Jesus actually wept. I'm sure you've heard that's the shortest sentence in the Bible is Jesus wept. And what that's referring to is that he had gotten news that his friend Lazarus was dying. And instead of rushing to Lazarus' side to heal him, he just stayed longer wherever he was. Days pass, Lazarus dies. He finally goes to the town where Lazarus is, and Lazarus's sisters and townsfolk and friends run out. And they're like, if you had been here a couple days ago when we first told you about him being sick, if you would have been here, Lazarus wouldn't have died. And they are just beside themselves with grief. And Jesus, knowing what he's about to do, weeps. He knows that he's about to literally go, Lazarus, come out, and Lazarus is going to raise from the dead, and everything's going to be fine. Jesus knows what he's about to do. But even then, being God, knowing what he's about to do, he still weeps because he sees the pain on the people that he loves, and he feels it. And so it's hard for me to believe that Erika Kirk is just even more spiritual than Jesus. So here's the other thing about Erika Kirk that I can't quite understand is, from what I do understand, that she and Charlie had an arrangement where if he was off traveling, he would come home and he'd put his phone away for 24 hours, and it would be all about him and the kids and Erika, so they could have their family time because dad had been traveling and been working. Fine. Great. I think that's wonderful. Well, now that he's gone, who's watching the kids if Erika's now the CEO of Turning Point USA? I thought they were all about the kids having their mom there to raise them, because that's where a mother's place is. I thought that was the whole point. She's got enough money. I'm sure he had a life insurance policy. He talked all the time about the death threats that he would get. I'm sure he and Erika had spoken at length about what will happen if I am ever assassinated. I'm sure that was a conversation. And I'm sure he had a beautiful life insurance policy. I'm sure she is set and her girls are set the rest of their lives. Why does she have to work? I thought the most important thing is to raise your kids. And the speed at which she jumped into that position was oh so strange and oh so quick. The glowing joy in her face, talking about how she's so excited about the future, just so excited about the future. 2 weeks after her husband is blown up in front of her face. Then, shall we even get into all of her strange connections? And all the strange connections of the Jewish donors to Turning Point USA is questionable. So that's all I'm going to say as a woman of faith, as somebody who researches this stuff and watches so many things. I just hadn't heard anybody talk about the faith thing and how we can still question things, but still also try to be consistent with our faith.